As President Obama weighs his decision on whether to send more troops to Afghanistan, that country's leadership remains in doubt, with a runoff election looming in November. Up to the minute, UN contributor Frank Ucciardo spoke exclusively to Afghanistan's United Nations ambassador about his country's future.
Afghanistan's President Hamid Karzai announcing that Afghan voters would once again go to the ballot boxes, but he really had no choice but to agree to a November runoff election.
President Karzai has taken a courageous step today, putting aside his convictions for the sake of democratic process.
President Karzai himself had serious questions about the process.
The questions came from the U.S. and international leaders about an August election between Karzai and former Foreign Minister Abdullah.
We detected the fraud and we reported this fraud to Security Council.
This is why they put aside about 1,300,000 votes that were seen suspicious or fraudulent.
After UN-led investigators invalidated those ballots cast for President Karzai, Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission cut Karzai's tally from 56.6% to 49.7%, not enough to win the election.
On the basis of Afghan constitutional, when there is a presidential elections, the winner should have 50+1 vote. There was fraud and there was irregularities. 6 million Afghans participated in the elections. They voted in a very, very difficult situations. In some places, they voted when the enemies of Afghanistan, the Taliban, the terrorists, attacked police stations.
Are there additional steps that can be taken because of the threat again from the Taliban and the threat of possible fraud the second time around?
We shouldn't judge the next round on the basis of what people talked about the first round. But this is the Afghan Independent Election Commission and who is organizing the second round as it organized the first round to make sure that how the police stations can work.
Do you think the election results should be tied to President Obama's decision as to whether or not Afghanistan gets more troops?
We have an election in 2 weeks' time.
So should it wait till the election or not?
It is not for me to answer that, but I think we will have a government that, as expected by our friends and partners, to be credible, legitimate, as they say.
President Karzai is still considered the likely favorite to win over rival former Foreign Minister Abdullah, but the question remains whether or not Karzai will be able to replace the credibility gap created by the fraud-scarred first election and restore U.S. confidence as he looks for more troops to help shore up his government's shaky hold on Afghanistan. Frank Ucciardo for CBS News, New York.